The NFL MVP conversation is heating up right now. It was Josh Allen and just like what are you saying?
NFL MVP.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Let me intro it first.
Okay, please.
Enough of Mike and his
Please,
nipples.
after you. I do.
Josh Allen was running away with it. The conversation was just done. He was like minus 900, and then Lamar Jackson started doing Lamar Jackson things, and people are like, wait a minute. If you look at the stats, it's a lot closer than you think. So now all of a sudden, MVP race is pretty tight. Josh Allen only minus 320. Lamar Jackson right behind him at plus 250, and then there's quite a gap. But then in semi-striking range, Saquon at plus 1,600. If he breaks the all-time rushing record, who knows? He might sneak in there. Joe Burrow at plus 3,000. Then no one else below plus 15,000. So those are the four I want to talk about. I mean, bringing up anyone else is kind of crazy. But I want to talk about
I'm a little crazy.
Is Josh Allen the MVP? Does he deserve the MVP, or is Lamar Jackson the rightful MVP, person?
No
brainer. What are we talking about here? Josh Allen deserves MVP. So I don't think it's really close. I think he's elevated his team on, especially with everyone thinking preseason, they're losing their digs. They lost Gabe Davis. Everything was going to crap. They were really down on him. He played perfect. Everything he's been against, everyone who's argued against him for his problems was turning the ball over, making bad decisions in games, losing the big games. I felt he's done the opposite of that.
Yeah, he hasn't turned the ball over at all. I'll just read the stats real quick. Total stats for both the players. Josh Allen, 4,269 yards, 41 total touchdowns, 6 total turnovers. Lamar Jackson, 4,847 yards. So he has like 600 more yards, 43 touchdowns, and 8 turnovers. So yeah, he's definitely protected the ball. Lamar's stats just pop a little more though.
Yeah, it's a little more, and I think it has to do with the team around him. I think he has a much better team everywhere. Offensively, obviously, Derrick Henry opens up the universe, and I think it's clear if you like the eye test. I think Josh Allen is better fit for the MVP. Offensively, maybe you can argue like the year that Lamar Jackson's having, but that's more of like a Joe Burrow Lamar Jackson conversation. But like MVP, most valuable player to their team, and why they're doing this well. He's the 2 seed, got it by himself, beat the 1 seed in the Chiefs. They just had a couple stumbles in the beginning of the year. I think Josh Allen easily.
Yeah, and I want to introduce someone. This is the first time we've had a guest on the podcast. Carter.
Hi.
He wanted to come on and talk a little NFL, talk MVP conversation. Carter, when you look at these numbers, is Josh Allen the runaway just clear MVP?
Does it tickle your brain a little bit?
I mean, it does.
Does it feather your mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking to that mic. Talking to that mic.
You tell me about it.
No, Josh Allen should be the MVP, and I mean, it shouldn't really be a conversation here. I mean, I know Lamar's stats look great. Tyler just read them. I mean, he has like 600 more yards or so and a couple more turnovers, but
2 more touchdowns as well.
Yeah, a couple more touchdowns as well. Something that this reminded me of was exactly last year with the race where Lamar won, and then the runners-up were Purdy, Dak, and then Tyreek.
They all have better stats.
Tyreek is playing the Saquon role. He's not actually in conversation for this.
Did he win Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, he'll get Offensive Player of the Year.
Last year? Yeah.
That'll be for Saquon. But last year, Dak had unbelievable stats, but his team had so many losses it didn't matter. That's Joe Burrow this year. And then Purdy had pretty comparable stats to Lamar, all things considered. But what kept getting Purdy down in the arguments was, he has C-Mac, IU, Kittle, Debo, Trent Williams, this defense, right? Yep. And I think that's going to go against Lamar this year. You look at, he has Derrick Henry, who has 1,800 yards so far.
Yeah, he's going crazy.
Like, he's King Henry. He's like one of the best running backs of our generation. And he has Zay Flowers coming into his own. He's got
Mark
Andrews actually hitting his stride now.
Big boy Mark.
Even Bateman's not looking bad anymore. They finally...
Oh, no, we don't talk about Bateman.
We're not the Bateman conversation.
All right, but put it this way, like, Josh Allen, he's got James Cook, who's
been phenomenal.
The most mediocre running back of all time. He's got 900 yards.
Been phenomenal this year.
Hero ball.
Yeah, phenomenal 900
he's like
yards.
Average.
He's
like phenomenal.
Over 1,000 yards and he's like top 5 in touchdowns at least.
Yeah,
I mean Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Well, he would have more if Josh Allen didn't push his way.
I'll let you finish, but one thing I do want to bring up, and this is the biggest thing when you look at Josh Allen's stats as a whole, is that because a lot of his touchdowns are rushing touchdowns, right? He has 12 rushing touchdowns. Most of those aren't actual running the ball like RPO type plays. They're the tush push on the 1 yard.
Like Jalen Hurts.
It's the Jalen Hurts slide from last year.
Which is why Hurts is the only quarterback with more rushing touchdowns than Josh Allen this year.
Because they just get to the
'Cause they
1 yard
just
line and
tush push.
How do you?
But let's not that's a Josh Allen thing. Josh Allen always in his career is rushing touchdowns without the tush push.
Well,
I'm
I
sure
mean-
if we looked up the stats, there hasn't been that many tush pushes.
For sure.
to be honest, that's
More of his rushing touchdowns. I watched a compilation video actually, which is why I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah,
More
go
of his. I think it was like 7 of his 12 have been within 5 yards of
No,
the
that
end
was
zone.
fine. I was saying we were bringing up Jalen Hurts. I was like, well, Josh Allen in his career always rushes the ball amazingly.
No, he does.
It might be this year, just
does.
happens to work out in a certain way,
Yeah.
but I don't think it has anything to do with the tush push.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I feel like the NFL has always utilized, like, player size. And even, like, back in the day before tush pushes were a real thing, you always saw, like, famously, the Ben Roethlisberger 4th and 1. It's like all he had to do is just grab the ball and just go up the middle, and, it's an automatic first down. And it's the same idea with all these tush pushes. But getting back to a conversation I had for MVP, I think Carter had it exactly nailed. I think, for most valuable player, nobody has proven me so wrong. I was preseason so down on Josh Allen because he had lost all of his receivers. I was like, there's no way this guy can alone just lead his team to greatness. Wrong. And completely incorrect. He has willed his team to, domination. Similarly with Lamar Jackson, exactly as Carter said, he just has a better team fortress around him, and so it kind of hinders his part in the conversation or his argument in the conversation because he's almost aided so much by the other people around him. And then Saquon is having one of the best running seasons that we've seen in probably my entire life.
Since AP.
Since
I
AP
mean,
or Derrick Henry twice, but yeah.
One of the best, not the best, but one of the best for sure. So it's like, yeah, he's probably gonna get Offensive Player of the Year, but I am most valuable player to the team. Josh Allen is the only notable player on that team, and he's led them to greatness. Like that's, how is that not a winner?
I agree. I agree. I don't want to repeat too much about the Josh Allen. I'll let you go after. I have a feel, but there's a few counters I do think are fair. And I just wish this award could be given out pre-Super Bowl, but after the playoffs, because the Eagles, I do think Saquon might end up being the most valuable piece in the NFL from the perspective of I think what he'll do for the Eagles in the playoffs. The Eagles' problem, right? Jalen Hurts isn't the quarterback that's going to get you to win a Super Bowl, most likely on his own.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. Maybe he just plays insane in the playoffs and he's the one-man show. But that's been the reason they haven't finished the job in the past.
Yeah.
And I think Saquon's that piece that's going to help them get over the finish line.
Yeah.
Lamar, everyone said, you have all the pieces added. His stats are great. They have 2 less wins than last season.
Yeah.
Currently they were 13-win first seed overall last year. They're worse than they were last year from a record perspective, adding people. So I don't think that's a huge argument for.
Argument there though is their conference is significantly better this year than it was last year.
The hell does that mean?
It's actually way
What are you
worse.
talking about?
The Steelers are a stronger team this year
The
than they were.
Steelers were in the playoffs last year. Same amount
It's
of
actually
wins.
way worse.
And the Bengals are better.
Yeah.
And the Browns are better.
Yeah, no, that's wrong. But
All right.
Classic Mike.
but yeah, so
I
from
tried.
a record
Take a
perspective,
stab.
obviously, and then Josh Allen, his team has 2 more wins than they did last year. And Burrow, from a strictly passing perspective, is the MVP, but he just doesn't have the rushing numbers, and the rest of the other quarterbacks' rushing numbers propel him. But my only caveat was, I wish you could see what Saquon does in the playoffs, because if he's going 150 and 2 touchdowns every game, and they go to the Super Bowl and end up winning, he's the most valuable player in the NFL.
But it doesn't matter though, because it's like, he would still have those. He would probably be achieving those stats because of the other people around him too, right? Like because AJ Brown, Devontae Smith pose a threat, and Jalen Hurts is, if we were comparing.
If we're arguing who the most valuable player is in the league, right? It would be the player that transforms a team to make them the best team in the league.
But they had 12 wins last year.
But what they do in the
That's
first
kind
round?
of
What they do in the first round of the playoffs?
I know they lost. We don't know that though.
No, but that's my point. Is I wish you could wait.
But since it's a
Until the
regular
play.
season,
Then
you
it's
can't
Josh
win.
Allen. Yeah, then it's
Yeah,
Josh Allen.
Oh, it's Josh
And I mean,
Allen.
It's Josh
also
Allen.
just-
So you're Josh Allen, Josh Allen.
Everyone's
Josh
Josh Allen.
Allen.
You guys are all Josh.
You're all
Okay.
there. You're on an island.
I'm on an
I
island.
wish
Are
it
you
could be.
Lamar?
I want it to be Saquon, but I just can't yet.
Yeah, no, I could give you guys. I've thought about the MVP conversation quite extensively over the last week and a half because all season, all I heard was Josh Allen, and I've watched him play, and he's looked phenomenal. So I'm not trying to make this I'm against Josh Allen. No, there's a reason he's in the running, and he's in my top 5 for if I had to rank the 5 best people that deserve it. He's in the top 5.
Wow.
He's in the top. He's in top 5.
No,
Whoa.
he is. He is. Why?
I mean,
You don't think he's top
It's
five?
pretty
You don't think he's top 5?
It's top 3. There's not
You're
really
not
an
even saying
argument.
top 2 though.
No.
Like,
Well, I have like a top 4. The 5th one is just like a complimentary one. I'll like
Jay
throw
Daniels.
in. It is because the stats are actually surprisingly comparable to Josh Allen's.
no, I
and
mean, he's
no. But anyways,
brings so much
back to
value.
this year. Back to this conversation. Yeah, all I heard was Josh Allen all year, and I had no problems with it. And then the one reason I even investigated this to begin with was because I have personally Lamar Jackson on my fantasy team, so I watch him every week because that's what I do with all my players. And I mean, he's been the best player I've seen all year, just like week to week. Josh Allen has his weeks where maybe he was the best that week, but like week to week, who puts on the best show and is just like phenomenal to watch is Lamar Jackson. No one does what he does.
Josh Allen.
It is like phenomenal. No, Josh is great, but I was like, okay, Lamar's having a pretty good season. Then I looked at the stats because SportsCenter will they do this in the offseason too for the draft. They'll just say a name and everyone just believes it. We just like,
Well, it's like
Josh Allen, Josh Allen.
It's like the tweet that they put out: Josh Allen arm punts to the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Through his interception.
Yeah,
That was a great
and
punt.
so then I
was a
look
great punt.
then I look at the stats and I'm like, okay, Josh Allen, all right, yeah, Lamar's having a better season, Joe's having a better season. Okay, well maybe the rushing. Well, Lamar's blowing everyone out the water in rushing. Same with Jaden Daniels. And then I was like, okay, well, let me find stats where Josh Allen's at least top 5 in. And for a passing perspective, because he's a quarterback, you throw the ball, there's one stat, and it's QBR. He's top 5 in that. Lamar's number 1. And then him, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow are tied with number 2. Anything else, he's not top 5. He's borderline top 10 in pass yards. I was like, okay, rushing. Well, he's barely top 5 in that for rush yards. The only reason he's at number 5 right now is because Anthony Richardson, who's 30 yards behind him, has missed like 5 games.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be top 5 in that. What's he top 5 in rushing? Well, the rushing touchdowns, but we've already talked about that. Passer rating,
He's got to have the second.
passer rating, he's like number 7 or 8. So I'm just like, okay, he's having a good season, and I've seen him play, but I'm just confused. Why is this guy MVP? Then I looked at, oh wait, the Ravens and Bills played, and Ravens beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
That's like a
So
that's like
no,
a college
but-
football.
well,
week one,
then
like-
so now I'm thinking, okay, all right, who deserves MVP? And so I've come up with the top 5 in my personal
All right,
ranking.
let's
Right?
hear it.
Number 1 to me is Lamar Jackson. I think he's been the best player this year. People might bring up last season, which Carter did, about Lamar winning even though Dak had better numbers. Okay, that's the one little wrench that puts everything into.
That's just been through history.
No,
How many
it's not through
seasons did
history.
Drew
It's
Brees
not
have
through history.
5,000 yards and he
Because
never got
someone
one?
else had 5,000
but-
and a better record. The only reason, I'll explain. Okay, last season, the reason why Dak Prescott didn't win, because Dak, if you look, Dak should have won. He should have won.
agree.
But the reason why Dak didn't win, you have to go back 7 years to one special season.
geez.
It's the Matt Ryan effect. No, they let Matt Ryan win a Super Bowl. Or not a Super Bowl, sorry, an MVP.
yeah.
They let him win an MVP, and it was the only one where they were like, wow, we're giving this guy MVP, right? But we don't really know if he's going to be elite in 2 years. But he had the best stats. They gave it to Matt Ryan. 2 years later, Falcons are a 4-win team. 3 years later, he's on the Colts. No one talks about Matt Ryan anymore. Dak is kind of in a similar situation. It's like, okay, we could give Dak this MVP award, but man, I mean, are the Cowboys even going to have a winning season next year?
No.
Like, what's going on? We got to give it to the guy who is at least a better player and has a better future. So they were like, okay, Dak Prescott, sorry, Lamar Jackson, which I can live with. 100 out of 100 times, I will let Dak get robbed by Lamar Jackson. Lamar deserves it more. He's a better player.
Agreed.
So back to this year, it has to go to the person who's at least best in his position. Josh is not best in his position. Statistically, he's not in any metric. So I don't know why he's being
wins.
anointed.
It's wins.
Can I push back on some of the stats real quick?
He beat the 2 best teams in each division.
Wins, Ravens are right there. So it's not like it's a big drop off where like, oh, he's killing
I mean,
it.
they're 2 behind. There's no way they can pass him in the playoff standings. And
Yeah,
the
2
Bills
wins.
lost everyone.
Like,
The Ravens added offensive and defensive pieces.
and so sure, Derrick Henry was a big addition. He was.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. And Lamar has more rush yards this year than last year. I mean, it's not
They're
like
running the ball much more. as a
it's
team.
not like his game has improved this year. just a personal level,
For sure.
passing has improved this year.
For sure.
Like everything's improved.
But it helps
and,
when you have Derrick
and,
Henry.
and it helps when you have Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry doesn't necessarily make you a better and more accurate passer. That's
does.
like work that he
100%
put in.
does.
No,
100%
accuracy is the work
opens
that you
up.
put in.
No.
100%.
And you get singled out coverages because
Well,
that's what linebackers say.
I think-
it's easier to throw passes.
I agree that Lamar has gotten better as a
agree
player.
too.
For sure, on
Yeah.
every level. And he was the MVP last year. What Josh Allen's doing this year, though, is just so ridiculous.
Well, they have to give it to Josh because he's never won, and Lamar has two. That's
I
why.
don't even love that argument because I mean,
He doesn't have a top
So
10
here's
running
my
back.
top
He doesn't
five,
have a top
anyways.
five.
Before,
finish
yeah.
the
So
top
my
five.
top five.
Yeah,
All right, I have
wrap
Lamar.
that up.
I have Lamar number one. I think he deserves it the most. I think he's been the most valuable player to his team. Number two, I have Joe Burrow because statistically, best in your position. Quarterback's the hardest position, in my opinion, to play in the NFL. He's better. I mean, he has more yards, better in any metric than Josh Allen besides tush pushes. Okay.
And
Yeah.
wins.
Yeah, but also top 10 defense on the Bills, top 10 O-line, Bengals, 30th team defense, and bottom third
right.
in O-line.
Who's third?
So,
Next one,
okay.
All right,
who's-
Third is Saquon Barkley. Third is Saquon Barkley. With that, like best in your position, right? So Lamar's best player, but okay, Joe Burrow technically best in his position. So I give him two. Saquon's best in his position.
I
Give him
thought
three.
Lamar was best in the position. Sorry.
No, most valuable. Just
Oh,
like
okay.
right.
who I think deserves it.
Gotcha.
That's a personal opinion.
All right.
If you go Joe 1, Lamar 2, I won't.
You won't be mad. You won't be mad.
No,
All
I
right.
won't be mad.
All right, wrap it.
For Josh Allen.
Okay.
Okay? He's
he
been
is.
fantastic. He's one of the best players in the NFL. He's in my top 5. Okay? Bills fans should be happy. He's in consideration. Number 5, just honorable mention, similar passing statistics, better rushing statistics, except for tush push, is Jaden Daniels.
Wow.
And reversed a record. Commanders last year, 4 wins. This year, 11-5.
I do love the record argument. I mean, he's locked up rookie.
I
of the
mean,
year
if you
for
want to
sure.
talk about someone who's had the most valuable impact on a team, I think there's actually a really strong consideration.
I like that
Just
argument.
everyone glosses over because he's a rookie, but yeah.
It is also
That
a lot.
was-
One thing I would say
Oh, go ahead.
is that it's also a lot easier to take a team from it's easier to add wins when your team was complete ass.
Yeah.
Like when you were 4 wins and then you're a
have
rookie
7.
quarterback to get to 10. I mean, that's
The
unbelievable.
9-10.
The 9-10 is that's a spot.
start getting over-
If they're 13 wins, he's
Also,
MVP.
let's not forget when they make the schedules, they actually plan it so the worst teams have easier schedules.
Which they did this year.
Yeah, they do
Jay
that
Daniels
every
has
year.
the easiest
so
schedule
they
as
make it so
anyone
every
quarterback.
team gravitates towards 500. That's why the Steelers always end up having a tough schedule because they always win 10 games somehow, right? It's the same exact thing. So for a rookie, right? Jaden's playing unbelievable. I love him. He's on my fantasy team. But
I mean, Ravens tough schedule.
yeah, Ravens tough schedule.
I mean,
Bills tough
Bills
schedule.
tough schedule.
But to bring a team from same thing Stroud did, right?
Yeah.
From a 3-4 whatever win team.
yeah, well,
to-
we're not. Don't bring up
No,
Stroud.
yeah,
or else
fine.
My
I'm saying
thing.
that
Oh,
it's
I
easier
mean,
to bring him up
Stroud.
there.
Stroud. No one
No.
wants to have the Stroud conversation.
have it in the
only
offseason.
person
We don't
with
have
the
time to
worst.
have it right now.
Only person with the worst passer rating than Caleb Williams is C.J. Stroud. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
we're not gonna have the Stroud
Still
conversation
gonna
right
win
now.
the playoff game week 1.
Well, we don't. We're
Yeah,
not
okay.
gonna have the
Okay.
Stroud. We're not gonna have the Stroud
No, we got
conversation
all
right
the
now.
bets. I'll take all the
We
We're
got
not gonna have the
president
Stroud
of-
conversation.
Oh, wait.
But there you have it.
President.
Wait,
Oh God.
Nice to meet you.
are
No,
we
we
doing?
got president of the
Hey,
Josh Allen, C.J. Stroud,
Stroud.
Caleb Williams fan
Well,
club.
I'm gonna be
live
right.
in the flesh.
I'm gonna be right about all of them, just like I was about Josh Allen when everyone was
Right
telling
about
me
what?
I'm-
I've always loved Josh Allen.
He's about to be an MVP of the league. You could say what you want to believe. He's minus 300, and a lot
No,
of the
he's
world think
probably
he's
going
gonna
to win. I'm just giving who I deserves it. How am I wrong?
do it. I'm saying what everyone was saying years ago that I was the only one on President Josh Allen. He turned the ball over too much. He's not going to be anything, and he's never going to win MVP.
Whoa. Okay, you're putting words in my mouth.
I mean,
I definitely
I
said all
singled
those
out and
things.
was always getting against everyone.
I said every one of those things.
I probably never
But
said
I said it to motivate him. Josh Allen, I've always loved.
I've always loved Josh Allen in the regular season.
Me too.
I've always loved him. No, it's just like, I mean,
Oh, we don't
pressure
want-
situation
Well,
in
you
the
know you don't want
playoffs.
to bring up the playoffs if you're talking Lamar Jackson
but
for
in,
MVP.
yeah,
So-
what are we talking here?
But that's why it's not a playoff.
Yeah.
With the stats
Otherwise,
argument,
Burrow, I mean, he's been to a
where you
Super
went
Bowl.
through whatever 5 stats where you said Josh isn't top 5, Lamar's top 1 or 2 and everything, right?
Literally 1 and 2 and everything.
Yeah. One thing I will push back against that. So
Pushback.
the Bills have a plus minus turnover margin of 23, which is 8 ahead
No, I mean,
of
great defense.
the next team and I think 19 ahead of the Ravens.
Yep.
And so when you get that many more turnovers, you're winning games by high margins and your field is a lot shorter. The Ravens have the second highest sacks in the league at 52, which means a lot of punts, a A lot of long fields, a lot more yards.
Josh Allen's also sat out enough fourth quarters to equivalent a full game.
Yeah,
sitting
I'm
in.
just
He's
saying,
out four
though,
full fourth quarters.
If, you know,
Let's
say
not
those
act like
turnover
Lamar.
margins were a
I've seen
little
Josh
closer,
Johnson play
right?
3 times this year.
Yeah.
So Lamar's also sat out a couple fourth quarters.
All I'm
too.
saying though, that turnover margin isn't 19
point.
different. Then I'm sure the yards.
Well,
would
no,
not
I
be
brought up the
600
top 10
different, right?
defense. I mean, it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
it's
they both have elite defenses in different ways, but I'm just saying the way
Ravens
that-
Ravens actually not an elite defense.
well, elite run defense and pass rush, but their secondary is miserable.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Carter, about the yards difference is that they're on a short field a lot of the time, and he's sitting out.
I mean,
when
no
they're
one's
up
brought
against-
up that Josh Allen is thrown to probably outside, like the top 10 worst wide receiving core in the entire league.
Dude, people had conversations about Lamar Jackson preseason before Derrick Henry, and even a little bit after, but people were more excited about just the team with the rushing aspect of Derrick Henry. But they were like, who's he going to throw to? Because Zay Flowers, yeah, he had a promising rookie year, but he was kind of just like a slant guy, kind of like a little decoy.
Yeah.
And then Rashad Bateman, aging Mark Andrews. People had questions about, and Lamar's done, I mean, he's made Rashad Bateman relevant. I mean,
No, it's been impressive.
I'm just saying, it's not
I
like-
honestly am not a fan of either of their pass catching units, to be completely fair. Zay Flowers
No.
is definitely the best weapon that any of the two teams
Yeah.
have.
Shout out Shakir.
Oh, yeah.
I love Shakir.
But yeah, there you have it. 4 people, Josh Allen, 1
Lamar Jackson.
Josh Allen at 4th, Lamar Jackson / if it's Joe Burrow, you can give it to Joe Burrow.
Or Saquon.
Mario's, yeah, or Saquon.
I mean,
Any
best
of
in your
those three.
position always
Or
deserves it.
McCaffrey should have won 3 MVPs.
Four Josh Allen's, 1
I'm
Josh
not
Allen's
the one
on
who
the podium.
decides.
He's not who decides. Let us know what you think
Yeah.
in the comments. If you were to decide, would you give it to Josh Allen? Would you give it to someone else? Would you give it to Lamar Jackson? Let us know. Drop a subscribe if you're
Yeah.
not already. Stay locked in with us. Huge week coming up.
Cha-chinga.